Hey Vikings Nation, how's everybody feeling today? Because we've got some emotional news coming straight out of Minnesota, and trust me, this one hits right in the heart for longtime fans of the Minnesota Vikings. Two beloved names who defined an era in purple are officially closing the chapter on their incredible NFL careers. But there's still a massive question hanging over the team that has fans everywhere asking the same thing. What about number 22? Before we dive into everything, here's the twist that makes this story even more intriguing. While two Vikings legends prepare to say goodbye this week, another legend, a potential future Hall of Famer, still hasn't made his decision. Could we actually see him return for one last run? Stick with me because this story about Vikings history, loyalty, and unfinished business is just getting started. The Minnesota Vikings announced that two iconic figures from the last decade will officially celebrate their retirement this week in Eagan, Minnesota. Running back and fullback powerhouse C.J. Ham and fan favorite wide receiver Adam Thielen will take the stage at the TCO Performance Center to speak with reporters about their careers and their decision to step away from football after the 2025 season. For Vikings fans, this moment feels like the end of a special era. Both Ham and Thielen became symbols of perseverance, dedication, and Minnesota pride. And what makes their stories even more incredible is how unlikely their journeys were when they first entered the league. But what's grabbing headlines across Vikings news right now isn't just their retirement celebration. It's the absence of another legendary teammate who has stood beside them for years. Safety Harrison Smith, the leader of the Vikings defense for over a decade, will not be part of this joint retirement press conference. Now here's where things get really interesting. The Minnesota Vikings are still waiting for Harrison Smith to make a final decision about his football future. The veteran safety has not yet announced whether he plans to return for a 15th season in the National Football League or finally call it a career. Technically, Smith was processed by the Vikings as a post-June 1 release earlier this offseason. But Vikings news quickly clarified that this move was purely procedural. It helps the team manage salary cap space by spreading out the financial impact across 2 seasons. And here's the key detail every Vikings fan should pay attention to. The organization has made it very clear. If Harrison Smith wants to return, the door in Minnesota is wide open. The Vikings would absolutely welcome him back for another season in purple. So the big question becomes, what is Smith thinking right now? If he had already decided to retire, many people believe he probably would have made the announcement by now. That's why there's growing speculation across Minnesota Vikings news that the legendary safety might actually be considering one more run. And imagine how powerful that story would be. Harrison Smith, after being honored during the final game of last season, coming back for one final campaign to lead the defense again. Vikings fans know exactly what that would mean for the locker room. Let's not forget the emotional weight of this week's event though. C.J. Ham and Adam Thielen are two of the most unique success stories in Minnesota Vikings history. Both players entered the NFL as undrafted free agents, meaning no team initially believed they were worthy of being selected in the draft. C.J. Ham, a proud Minnesota native from Duluth, joined the Vikings in 2016 after playing college football at Augustana. Over the next decade, he became one of the most respected fullbacks in the league and a true leader in the Vikings locker room. Ham spent 10 seasons wearing purple and gold, earning 2 Pro Bowl selections along the way. And in a moment that almost felt scripted, he scored the 8th touchdown of his career in the final game of the 2025 season. The perfect way to close his journey with the Minnesota Vikings. Then there's Adam Thielen, a name that will forever be etched into Vikings history. Thielen's journey might be one of the most inspiring underdog stories the NFL has ever seen. Born in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, Thielen attended Minnesota State and initially joined the Vikings in 2013 as nothing more than a rookie tryout player. Think about that for a second, he wasn't even guaranteed a roster spot. But through relentless work and determination, Thielen fought his way from special teams contributor to one of the best receivers in the NFL. He became a 2-time Pro Bowler and climbed into the top 5 in Vikings history in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches. However, Thielen's journey with the Vikings wasn't completely straightforward. After the 2022 season, the team released him as part of a roster reset. He then spent time with the Carolina Panthers before eventually making his way back to Minnesota. That reunion was a moment Vikings fans will never forget. But during a difficult season for the team, Thielen eventually requested his release late in the year and signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, giving him one more opportunity to compete in the playoffs. Even with those twists and turns, Adam Thielen will always be remembered first and foremost as a Minnesota Vikings legend. His story represents the heart of what Vikings football is all about: resilience, passion, and belief. Now let's circle back to the biggest question surrounding the team heading into the 2026 season. If Harrison Smith does decide to return, the Vikings could suddenly become much more competitive than people expect. The recent addition of quarterback Kyler Murray has already created excitement across Minnesota Vikings news. Pairing a dynamic quarterback with the leadership of veterans like Harrison Smith could give the Vikings a serious push toward playoff contention. That's why many fans believe head coach Kevin O'Connell and defensive coordinator Brian Flores might be doing everything possible right now to convince Smith to run it back one more time. Imagine the storyline: two Vikings legends retiring this week, while another decides he still has one more chapter left to write. That would be the kind of dramatic moment Vikings fans live for. Thursday's retirement press conference is scheduled for 3 p.m. Central Time at the TCO Performance Center, and Vikings Nation will be watching closely. Not just to celebrate two incredible careers, but also to see if any hints emerge about the future of number 22. Now I want to hear from you, Vikings fans. Do you think Harrison Smith should come back for one more season with the Minnesota Vikings? Or is it time for the legendary safety to ride off into the sunset alongside Thielen and Ham? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is a debate every Vikings fan is having right now. And if you love staying updated with the latest Minnesota Vikings news, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with every member of Vikings Nation. Because the next big Vikings update could be right around the corner, and you won't want to miss it. Skol. Purple Heart American Football.